Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 7th February 2017. The first article, Friendship is a Flowing River by Sheikh Hasina. In this, she traces the journey of India and Bangladesh friendship. So, Bangladesh history is intricately associated with Indian history. Now, when India became independent in 1947, it also got divided. And Pakistan, a new country formed at that point of time, had East Pakistan and West Pakistan. East Pakistan are the Bengali speaking population, West Pakistan are Urdu or Hindi speaking population. Now, most of the social affairs, governance, political affairs, military, everything was dominated with the people from West Pakistan. And also, there is a kind of derogatory stand taken towards the East Pakistan by the West Pakistanis. It has been stated that these are low-lying people living in low-lying lands. This is what is the common phrase used at those point of time. And second is, Urdu was declared as a national language, and it was a resentment for the Bengalis. And Bengali national movement has started as a Bengali language protection movement. And on the roots of this, Mazbur Rahman Bangabandhu, his Awami League was born. Now, in 1971 elections, Awami League has won the majority. And Mr. Rahman was supposed to become the Prime Minister of Pakistan, and it was undigestible to the West Pakistan leaders. At that point of time, Mr. Yahya Khan was the President of Pakistan, and he wanted to have Zulfikar Bhutto as the Prime Minister. So Rahman was called for talks and he was arrested. It has led to deepening of the crisis, and Bengali national movement has become open now. And Pakistani army has launched Operation Searchlight, which has led to the persecution of a million plus Bengali population or Bengali speaking population of East Pakistan. Now it has created a huge demographic pressures on India, and Prime Minister Indira Gandhi has to respond to this humanitarian crisis. She has collected the opinion and support of the Committee of Nations in favor of Bengali movement for self-determination, and also India accommodated these many refugees who have entered into its borders. So the crisis was finally led to the today's Bangladesh creation. So in this case, again my point is Bangladesh history is intricately connected with India. And later Majbur Rahman became the Prime Minister. He was killed in 1975. Until 1996, Awami League was not in power and Bangladesh was under dictatorial rule. And India-Bangladesh relations got strained during this dictatorial rule. In 1996, when Sheikh Hasina became the Prime Minister, there is a revival. And later in 2001, BNP, Bangladesh Nationalist Party, has come to the power, and the Pakistani supported our Islamic Party, that is, I think Jamaat-e-Islami. It was also in coalition with BNP, and the relations have really got worsened. And in this time, Bangladesh has become a place to export the terrorism to India. And later, Awami League has come to power, and there is an improvement in relations between India and Bangladesh now. So this is a trajectory. So in this case, culturally, India and Bangladesh are well connected. So Rabindranath Tagore is the joint connect between the two nations. Sundarbans, rivers, we have 54 rivers sharing between the countries, are flowing between the countries. And rivers are connecting the people, and they are the reason for our collective prosperity. That's what Sheikh Hasina talks about. So when 1996, when Sheikh Hasina was the Prime Minister, Ganges Water Sharing Treaty was signed. And at the same point of time, certain steps were laid for land boundary agreement resolution. Now finally, when Narendra Modi has become the Prime Minister, land boundary agreement was solved. But there are certain other water agreements which need to be solved yet. There are two major irritants which have been spoken in Bangladesh. One is Teesta River Water Agreement. And with regard to Teesta River Water Agreement, West Bengal has certain concerns because the North Bengal was irrigated through Teesta River water. So Jalpaiguri, Darjeeling districts, these are the poorest districts of the West Bengal, and West Bengal is not willing to share extra water with the Bangladesh. And second is Barak River. So India was building Tipai Mukh Dam on Barak River in Manipur, which was also a concern for the Bangladesh. And then for India, the defense ties of Bangladesh with China are a concern. And China and Bangladesh have a defense cooperation agreement, which is not there with India and Bangladesh. And Sheikh Hasina has a concern over here. She was projected as a leader who is stooping before India, genuflecting before India. So she has to show her power as a leader, or she has to represent the self-respect of the Bengalis. So in this context, she wants to appear to her people as not too close to India. That is one of the concern. If you go to the real politicking, and above all, India and Bangladesh, they have a very good trade relations, but however, the trade relations are in favor to India rather than to Bangladesh, and Bangladesh is expecting concerns. So India has already declared a line of credit to the tune of $5 billion to the Bangladesh. So the major irritant today that has to be solved is related to river water agreements. Remember one point. What are the important rivers that are flowing between India and Bangladesh, and where they originate? What are the issues? Farakka barrage. So all these things you need to know for your prelims. Now, growth with caveats. This is about the RBI Governor Mr. Urjit Patel's speech recently. You all know that in February, when monetary policy was announced, RBI has shifted from accommodative monetary policy to neutral monetary policy. And it was happened in the context of the demonetization. Demonetization has led to increased liquidity with the banks. Whenever liquidity has increased, it may cause inflationary pressures. So the RBI has to suck it back. So that's why RBI has raised reverse repo rates. What is meant by reverse repo? Simply remember that RBI gets the money whenever the reverse repo rate is increased. It means the interest rate on the money which is sucked from the banks to the RBI is increased when reverse repo rates go up. So it is to clear, or it is to remove the excess liquidity which is there in the banks now. And here there are four major growth concerns for India now. One is inflation is going to go up, and second is NPAs of the banks are high, and investment climate is getting revived. It means more money shall be available with the banks, and this has to come through recapitalization of the banks rather than through the excess liquidity flowing from the RBI. So, as private investments increases, there shall be responsible lending. For this responsible lending to happen, so the money has to come from the investment side rather than flowing from the deposits. And fourth thing is, the small savings interest rates are much higher than the deposit rates of the banks. So people will be willing to deposit in the small savings accounts. So obviously the banks will not be interested to pass on the rate cuts if anything are being given by the RBI to the customers in the future. So that's why the small savings rates shall be brought on par with the bank deposit rates. That's what is being recommended. Final concern is about the loan waiver. The loan waiver severely disturbs the credit discipline in the country, and a honest payer will not get his due respect. And second is, as government has to bear this burden of the loan waiver, the interest rates for the government will be very much high, as it is taking the burden of the farmers on its head. So, as interest rates of the banks or interest rates which are being given to the government has increased, then obviously the private sector interest rates are also going to go up. This may badly impact the growth prospects. So these are the things Mr. Urjit Patel was talking yesterday. And then barbarism unlimited. So this is about cow vigilantism in the country. I don't want to talk much about this, but I can say a rule of law is critical for every democracy to function. Wherever the rule of law fails, where one citizen discriminates the other citizen in the name of their food habits or their occupations, and certain fringe groups, they are taking the control of the society and dictating the way of life for the society, it is not a good sign for democracy. Now, is there racism in India? As a continuation of topic, let me discuss about the racism in India. You know that in Greater Noida recently there were attacks on the African students. So in this context, do India has the racism is the question. When Indians were attacked abroad, we are responding as a society against the racism. From very beginning, from very independence movement days onwards, India was against to the racism and also against to any kind of discrimination. But as a civilization, if we see, in India, the casteism has created hierarchies among the people. So the society is inherently unequal. And second is there is a preference for color, and white is being taken as a superior color over dark. So in this case, color binaries are clearly visible. White is good, dark is black. These color binaries are bringing in a prejudice and stereotyping of the people. Now, counter argument is this. So, racism means it is a collective consciousness of the people towards certain behavior. But in India, there is no such a collective consciousness. But there are incidents, sporadic incidents of violence against the African Americans. That's what has been stated. But if you clearly see, the egalitarianism which has been practiced or preached, or egalitarianism which the country has stood for at the international forum, it is not clearly practiced in our social system. We all need to agree for this. So, if you ask me, is India is racial? I say India is not racial as a state, but Indians have strong prejudices and Indian mindset has discriminatory practices. This is what my personal opinion is. So, you are free to differ from this and you can make your own opinions. How we shall go forward on this? I can say that education system is the best way forward. So first inculcate the values, respect for diversity and respect for knowledge. All this if you develop, slowly these prejudices and stereotypes will die down. But however, education do not just come from the school, it also comes from society. When your mother or father starts giving a separate glass of tea or else a tea in a separate tumbler to your worker, that is the way the seeds of discrimination are sowed. So the society also has to react for the same. And then with regard to the criminalization of suicide. So here we need to remember two cases. In Ratnam case, the Supreme Court of India held that the suicide need to be decriminalized. And the argument it took was right to life under Article 21 also has right to death. And later, in Gyan case, the Supreme Court has reversed its earlier judgment and stated that right to life does not include right to death. It is in the context of euthanasia. Now today, National Mental Health Care Bill was passed by the Parliament. It decriminalizes the suicide in India. Now, coming to the news page, the Article 142 is in discussion. Use Article 142 with restraint. It gives an extraordinary power to the Supreme Court. According to this, Supreme Court can issue an order or a decree to protect or to deliver justice. So it means that here the Supreme Court power is non-constrained. That's what is the Supreme Court believes in. Why it has come into news? There are two things over here. One is with regard to the ban of liquor on highways, the Supreme Court has cited Article 142. Yesterday, with regard to Ayodhya case, with regard to Barberry Masjid demolition case, Ayodhya case and Barberry Masjid demolition cases are different. In Barberry Masjid demolition case, the Supreme Court has stated for mixing the two cases which are pending before Lucknow and Raebareli courts and taking a joint hearing for both. So in this context, it also has spoke about Article 142 of the Constitution. And then, the Tista hangs fire as Hasina arrives. So the Tista River issue is not yet been solved. And during Prime Minister Hasina visit, an MOU on the defense cooperation is expected to come between the countries. Now, front page, Supreme Court proposes joint trial of Barberry cases. So here we need to remember about the Article 142 of the Constitution alone. So try to recollect this particular part of the article and it is very much essential for the exam. Now, I have prepared the notes for you, and the notes will be posted to you at lax.in/civilsprep. And then today I am posting, or today or tomorrow I'll be posting the citizen centric administration second ARC report on lax.in/test prep. The citizen centric administration. I have prepared a video. I need to do some fine tuning to it, and we will be charging very minimal price to it, because we need to improve the quality. We need to have certain finances. We have to take more people on board, and especially for correcting the answers. The linguistic skills are the major problem to the students, and we are working on the same. Thank you very much, and all the best. And magazine likes weekly based answer writing practices are available on likes.in/test prep. Today I will be discussing the answers of the students which are being written over there. Thank you very much, and all the best.